the serene Dutch village of Zundert, Vincent van Gogh was born into a world of flat earth and whispering fields. This was a place where the sky seemed to touch the earth, where the seasons painted the landscape with their distinct palettes. Vincent's earliest memories were not of grand adventures, but of the simple beauty of nature, the changing light on the meadows, the way autumn leaves danced in the wind, each moment a lesson in color and form. His family life was woven with the threads of love and faith. His father, a preacher, and his mother, a homemaker, nurtured a household full of warmth and learning. Among his siblings, it was with his brother Theo that Vincent shared a bond unlike any other. Born 4 years apart, their connection was as if they were two parts of the same soul. From childhood, they shared not just toys, but dreams. Theo, always the quiet listener to Vincent's wild, creative tales. Their bond was one of silent understanding, a silent pact of support that would echo through their lives. As Vincent grew, his path diverged from the conventional. He was sent to work as an art dealer in London. The city was a stark contrast to Zundert, its cobblestone streets wet with rain, its skies often gray, but Vincent found beauty even here, in the quiet moments of dawn or the solitude of evening. However, the professional world was not kind to his sensitive spirit. His time in Paris, vibrant with artistic energy, was both exhilarating and overwhelming. Here, among the Impressionists, Vincent's artistic vision began to take shape, but it was his personal life that truly defined him. Despite the distance, Theo was never far from Vincent's mind or heart. Their letters, which would become a treasure trove of art and emotion, started during this period. Theo, now an art dealer in Paris, became Vincent's anchor, his confidant. Each letter was not just a piece of correspondence, but a bridge across the miles, carrying sketches, dreams, and the raw honesty of Vincent's struggles and aspirations. Theo's responses were always filled with encouragement, a steady stream of support that Vincent would later describe as the only thing keeping him afloat in the tumultuous sea of his life. Vincent's return to the Netherlands was marked by a deepening of his art and his relationship with Theo. While Vincent painted the lives of peasants, their toil and their simple joys, Theo was his tireless advocate. He sent money, advice, and most importantly, belief in Vincent's talent when others saw none. This bond was evident in Vincent's work, where every stroke seemed to whisper of their shared dreams, of the painter and his brother, the artist and his supporter. Vincent's first drawings. In his early days back in the Netherlands, Vincent found his first subjects through the window of his family's home in Etten. From this vantage point, he would watch the peasants working the fields, their lives a tapestry of hard work and simplicity. With nothing but a pencil and paper, he began to sketch these scenes, capturing the essence of rural life. His drawings were not just images, but stories, each line telling of the back-breaking labor under the Dutch sky, the quiet moments of rest, and the dignity in the mundane. Vincent would spend hours at that window, the morning light casting long shadows, or the evening glow softening the edges of the world. His sketches were raw, with an honesty that only a keen observer could achieve. He drew the bent backs of workers, the texture of the soil, the play of light on aging faces, all from memory and observation. These were not just studies, but the beginnings of his dialogue with the world, a conversation through art that would define his entire life. In these formative years, Vincent's palette was dark, mirroring his internal struggles, but each letter to Theo was a light in the darkness, a dialogue not just about art, but about life, love, and the pursuit of something greater. Their bond was the canvas on which Vincent painted his hopes, Theo the frame that held it all together, ensuring that Vincent's art would one day be seen, appreciated, and loved. After his return to the Netherlands, Vincent's heart was with the people of the land, the peasants whose lives he observed from his window, whose stories he sketched with passion and empathy. This connection with the earth and its workers led him to create what would become his first significant work, The Potato Eaters, painted in the small village of Noonan in 1885. In the dim light of his studio, Vincent prepared his canvas, not with the bright colors he would later use, but with a palette of deep, earthy tones, browns, blacks, and ochres. He envisioned capturing not just the physical presence of these people, but the essence of their lives. He chose to paint them gathered around their simple wooden table, the light from a hanging lamp casting a warm yellow glow that softened their features, highlighting the communal bond over a humble meal of potatoes. Vincent would often dine with these families, learning their ways, their joys, and their sorrows. He absorbed the atmosphere, the sounds of laughter mixed with the clinking of cutlery, the scent of earth and smoke from the fireplace. Each visit was a study session. He would return to his studio with impressions etched in his mind, sketching dozens of drawings to perfect the composition. He painted with a slow, deliberate hand, working in the quiet of the night when the world outside was asleep, his brushstrokes echoing the hard work of those he portrayed. The painting was not about beauty in the conventional sense, but about truth, about the human spirit's endurance, the warmth of family, and the dignity of labor. Each figure was a character in this narrative, their faces lit from below, creating a dramatic, almost theatrical effect. Yet there was an undeniable tenderness in how he captured their expressions. Vincent's aim was to convey the simplicity and honesty of peasant life, to honor their existence in a way that transcended the material. The Potato Eaters was more than a painting. It was a testament to his empathy, his connection to the soil and its people, and his evolving style, which, while still dark and somber, began to show the emotional depth that would later define his work. Despite its initial rejection by critics who found its colors too dark, too somber, this painting marked Vincent's transition from sketches to significant oil paintings. It was a beacon of his artistic intent, a promise of the profound beauty he would later explore through color and light. In this piece, the bond with Theo was also evident. It was Theo who encouraged Vincent to continue, who saw in this dark canvas the seeds of genius that would one day bloom. Vincent wrote to Theo about the Potato Eaters, sharing his vision and his doubts, his hope that through this work he could communicate something of the human condition. He wrote, "I have just finished a painting of some peasants eating potatoes at night by lamplight. I wanted to give the impression of a single color, almost like a black and white print, but with a note of color in the faces, the hands, and the potatoes. The light that falls on them from the lamp in the ceiling gives the whole a certain unity. The painting of the peasants eating potatoes is, I think, the best thing I've done, but it has been criticized for being too dark. I couldn't care less about that. I wanted to express the idea of those people, that atmosphere of a dark, enclosed room and the light of the lamp in a way that was truly their own." Theo's response was one of support, understanding the work's importance beyond its immediate reception. The journey to Arles and the Yellow House. The call of the South, with its promise of radiant light and vibrant colors, lured Vincent van Gogh to Arles. It was as if the sun itself beckoned him, offering respite from the gray, overcast skies of Paris, where his soul had grown weary. He saw in Arles a new beginning, a chance to paint under skies that were not just seen, but felt, in hues of blue so intense they seemed to sing. The journey was not just physical, it was a pilgrimage towards healing, towards finding peace in the palette of nature. Arriving in Arles, Vincent was immediately captivated by the landscape, the endless fields of wheat, the cypresses standing like sentinels, and the sun, a constant companion painting everything in gold. Here he found the Yellow House, a small, bright abode at the corner of Place Lamartine. To Vincent, this was not merely a house, but a vision of an artist's colony, where creativity would flourish under the southern sun. Letter to Theo, February 21st, 1888. I arrived here in the south of France, at Arles, on Sunday evening. I saw some beautiful things on this voyage. I'm really happy to have seen the country here. It's very beautiful, and the people are much more attractive than in the north. Letter from March 18th, 1888. The sun here seems to me to have a more furious, more implacable light than elsewhere, and this makes it more beautiful to me, more amazing. I work on the paintings with a great deal of pleasure. There's something here that's different from the north, and that interests me enormously. Letter from August 18th, 1888. I've now rented a house here which is quite large and in the center of town, and I would like to make it a studio for painters. It's painted yellow outside, and there's a lot of light in it. But beneath this newfound inspiration, shadows lurked. Vincent's mental health, always a fragile tapestry, began to fray. The letters to Theo, his lifeline, now bore not just sketches but confessions of inner turmoil. He wrote of the sun's intensity, not just as a muse, but as a relentless force that seemed to mirror the tumult within him. The solitude of Arles, while initially a source of peace, slowly morphed into a silent battleground for his mind. Letter from January 17, 1889. I am now calm and I am working hard, although the crisis has left some fatigue. The work is going well and I'm starting to feel better, but the memory of the crisis still weighs on me. These letters reveal Vincent's initial joy and inspiration in Arles, his artistic fervor, his plans for an artist colony, and later the descent into mental turmoil, all while maintaining his dedication to his art. They provide a window into his soul, capturing the highs and lows of his time in the sun-drenched South, where he produced some of his most famous works, but also faced significant personal challenges. Vincent's days were filled with painting, his brush strokes capturing the beauty around him, yet his nights were often haunted by his inner demons. His work became more frenetic, as if he was racing against an unseen force. In the golden embrace of Arles, where the sun seemed to paint everything with its own vibrant brush, Vincent van Gogh found a subject that would capture his heart and imagination like no other: the sunflower. Their bold, radiant faces turned towards the light. Sunflowers became a symbol of hope, of friendship, and of the beauty and simplicity that Vincent sought to immortalize. In his yellow house, Vincent set up his easel, the canvas before him as blank as the dawn sky. He chose a palette of yellows, from the palest lemon to the deepest ochre, with touches of green for the leaves and browns for the sturdy stems. His intention was not just to paint flowers, but to capture the essence of light itself, the way it played with the petals, turning them into flames of gold. Vincent worked with a fervor that was both manic and methodical. He would often paint several sunflowers at once, moving from one canvas to another as if in a dance, each brushstroke a note in a symphony of color. He painted them in vases, their heads drooping with the weight of their own beauty, or standing tall, proud against the canvas. Each flower was a character, telling its own story of resilience and life under the sun. The process was intense. Vincent would work through the day, the light changing, the shadows shifting, his brush capturing these transitions. He wrote to Theo of his obsession, describing how he was painting with the enthusiasm of a Marseillais eating bouillabaisse, his words echoing the passion he poured into each stroke. These weren't just paintings, they were meditations on life, on the fleeting nature of beauty, and on the joy of creation. The sunflowers, in their full bloom or in their gentle decay, were a metaphor for Vincent's own life, vibrant, seeking light, yet touched by the inevitability of time. He painted them not just for their beauty, but for their symbolism, for the warmth they represented, for the friendship they symbolized, especially with Paul Gauguin, whom he hoped would join him in Arles. In these paintings, every petal was a brush with light, every shadow a nuance of existence. Vincent's sunflowers are not merely floral, they are a celebration of life, a testament to his love for art, for color, and for the simple joys that can be found even in solitude. He painted them with an urgency, as if each stroke could hold back the night, preserve the day's light just a little longer. Each bloom a silent scream of beauty against the encroaching darkness. These paintings were not just art, they were therapy, a desperate attempt to hold on to the light. The idea of an artist's colony, once a dream, became a necessity as Vincent felt the walls of his own mind closing in. He invited Paul Gauguin to join him, hoping companionship would be his salvation. Their time together, however, was fraught with tension. Vincent's mental state, already precarious, began a tumultuous descent. His behavior became erratic, he heard voices, saw visions, and the world around him seemed to warp and weave in ways that terrified him. The climax of this period came with the infamous act of self-harm. In a moment of despair, or perhaps a cry for connection, Vincent cut off part of his own ear. This act, born from a mind overwhelmed by its own storms, marked the beginning of the end of his time in Arles. The yellow house, once a symbol of hope, now bore witness to his pain. The local community, once charmed by the eccentric artist, now viewed him with fear and misunderstanding. The dream of an artist colony shattered, Vincent found himself more isolated than ever. His letters to Theo during this time were cries for help, cloaked in the beauty of his art. Theo, ever the stabilizing force, came to Arles, witnessing firsthand the depth of Vincent's suffering. Despite their bond, the weight of Vincent's mental health was beyond what either could fully manage in that moment. Vincent's stay in Arles ended not with the vibrant colors he'd hoped for, but with the gray of institutional weathered walls, as he voluntarily admitted himself to the asylum at Saint-Remy. Letter from February 3rd, 1889. I feel a failure when I think of the sorrow I've caused you, and it's terrible for me to be such a burden. The crisis left me very weak, but I'm working on getting better, and painting helps. Letter from April 1889. There are moments when I am twisted by enthusiasm or madness or prophecy, like a Greek oracle on the tripod. And then I have calm moments when the stars shine on me and I feel hope. But the crises come back, and they are exhausting. Letter from September 1889. I'm working hard, and the work helps to keep the bad thoughts at bay. But the attacks, when they come, are terrible. I feel like I'm living in two worlds, one where I'm painting and another where I'm fighting to keep my sanity. From the vibrant despair of Arles, Vincent van Gogh's path led him to the serene but somber walls of the Saint-Paul de Moselle Asylum in Saint-Remy, Provence. This ancient monastery, with its quiet cloisters and sunlit gardens, became his refuge. Not a prison, but a place of healing where his mind could find some semblance of peace. Here, the world outside seemed to slow down, the seasons passing over the monastery like a gentle breath, each moment an invitation to paint. Vincent was given two small rooms. One served as his living quarters, the other as his studio, a sanctuary for his art. Through the barred windows of his room, he gazed upon the night sky, where the stars danced in a way that seemed to speak directly to his soul. This is where he would paint Starry Night, one of his most renowned works, capturing not the confinement of his situation, but the vast cosmic dance above. The swirling patterns of the stars, the cypress trees reaching like prayers into the sky, all painted from memory and imagination, were his escape, his way of finding tranquility amidst turmoil. Vincent set up his easel by the window, the night air cool against his skin, the silence of the asylum a stark contrast to the vibrant life he captured on his canvas. His palette was now alive with blues, the deep, rich hues of the night sky, punctuated by the golden light of stars and the moon. He mixed his colors with an almost reverent touch, each swirl of paint a note in the symphony of the night. As he painted, Vincent did not just see the stars, he felt them. Each brushstroke was a movement, the stars not static points but living entities, their light bending and twirling in a cosmic ballet. He envisioned the sky as a river of light, the cypress trees below reaching up like flames, aspiring to touch the heavens. The village beneath was a quiet, sleeping world, its lights a soft counterpoint to the celestial drama above. Starry Night was not painted from direct observation alone, but from memory, from the visions in his mind's eye. Vincent spoke of seeing halos and visions, perhaps influenced by his medications, or perhaps by his own profound connection to the universe. Each stroke was an attempt to capture not just the beauty of the night, but the tumult of his soul, the peace he sought, the connection to something greater. The painting was his escape, his meditation. While confined, he found freedom in this act of creation, his brush a wand that conjured worlds from the darkness. He painted with a fervor, as if to outrun the shadows within, each star a beacon of hope, each swirl a promise of healing. In his letters to Theo, Vincent described the stars as if they were friends, their light a comfort in his loneliness. He wrote of the night sky with a poet's heart, seeing in it not just beauty, but a reflection of his inner state, the turmoil, the yearning for peace, the relentless pursuit of light. In this canvas, the cypresses loom large. They are in the foreground, and the sky is a blue with a greenish tint, and the town is a blue-black with a hint of violet. The stars are very large and yellow, and they seem to quiver. They are not just points of light, but have a life of their own. His days in the asylum were structured around painting and nature. The gardens of Saint-Paul-de-Moselle, with their orderly rows of lavender and the wild, untamed beauty of the surrounding landscape, offered him a new palette. Here, he painted the olive groves, the wheat fields, and the irises, each canvas a meditation on beauty and sanity. The rhythm of his brushstrokes was like therapy, each painting a step towards mental recovery, a way to communicate what words could not. However, Vincent's mental health was a tempestuous sea. There were moments of profound clarity and creativity, followed by storms of despair and hallucinations. His letters to Theo from Saint Remy are both a testament to his artistic productivity and a raw narrative of his inner battles. He spoke of days filled with an indescribable anguish, a feeling as if the veil of time and reality was torn apart, exposing him to the raw, unfiltered essence of existence. Yet, in these letters, there was also a yearning for normalcy, for the simple joys of life he witnessed in his paintings. Despite the bouts of illness, Vincent was allowed to paint outdoors under supervision, a concession that was vital for his spirit. The simple act of being among nature, feeling the sun on his skin, hearing the whisper of the wind through the trees, was his balm. It was here, under the watchful eyes of crows, that he would paint wheat field with crows, a painting that would echo through time as a poignant expression of his inner world. Vincent set his easel in the midst of the field, the sun high, or perhaps on the cusp of setting, casting long shadows that danced with the wheat. His palette was alive with yellows and greens, the colors of life and growth, yet there was an undertone of melancholy in the dark, almost ominous crows that flew above. He chose his colors with a mix of joy and sorrow, each stroke a testament to his love for the land and the turmoil within. As he painted, Vincent was not merely capturing a landscape, but was laying bare his soul. The wheat stretched towards the horizon, three paths diverging into the distance, each one a metaphor for choices, for journeys yet to be taken. The crows, often seen as harbingers of change or even death, flew over this scene, their presence adding a layer of depth, of unspoken narratives. Vincent's brush moved with a sense of urgency, as if he was racing against time, against the shadows of his own mind. He painted the wheat with strokes that mimicked the wind's motion, the life in each blade, but there was also a heaviness, a sense of inevitability in the paths that lead nowhere, in the crows that seem to herald the end of something. In his letters to Theo, Vincent spoke of the beauty of these fields, of the peace he found in nature, yet there was always an undercurrent of his struggle. Wheatfield with Crows was not just a painting, it was a dialogue with his own fears, his hopes, his final days. Each crow was a thought, each path a contemplation of life's direction, the sky a canvas of emotion, painted with the blues and whites of contemplation. I've painted 3 large canvases. They are vast stretches of corn under troubled skies, and I did not need to go out of my way to express sadness and extreme loneliness. I hope you will see them soon, for I hope to bring them to you in Paris as soon as possible, since I almost think that these canvases will tell you what I cannot say in words, the health and fervent vitality that I feel in spite of everything, and which will hold out for a long time. The bond with Theo remained his anchor. Theo visited, bringing with him not just supplies, but the warmth of family, a reminder of love in a world where Vincent often felt alone. Their correspondence continued, Theo's letters a lifeline, his belief in Vincent's art unwavering. It was Theo who would ensure that Vincent's work reached beyond the asylum walls, advocating for his brother when Vincent could not do so himself. In the spring of 1890, after nearly a year at Saint Remy, he was deemed well enough to leave, moving to Auvers-sur-Oise under the care of Dr. Paul Gachet, an art lover and physician. Here, Vincent's productivity was astonishing, painting over 70 canvases in his last 70 days. But the respite was short-lived. The shadows of his mental health issues loomed large, and despite the beauty he captured, the peace he sought eluded him. In a moment of what we can only imagine as overwhelming despair, Vincent took his own life in the wheat fields he so loved. His final days were marked not by the darkness of his end, but by the light of his art, a legacy left behind that would shine brighter after his passing. As we reflect on Vincent van Gogh's journey, we see not just the artist, but the man, a soul navigating the turbulent seas of human emotion and creativity. His life was a tapestry woven with threads of immense beauty, profound struggle, and an unquenchable thirst for understanding the world through art. Vincent's story is one of love, pain, and the relentless pursuit of light in the darkness, a narrative that resonates with the human condition in its rawest form. Vincent's bond with Theo was the heartbeat of his existence, a connection that transcended the ordinary. Their letters, filled with sketches, confessions, and the dreams of an artist, were not just communications but lifelines, building a bridge over the chasm of Vincent's solitude. Theo's unwavering support, his belief in Vincent's genius when the world saw only madness, was a testament to the power of familial love, a love that outlasted life itself. After Vincent's departure, Theo's health waned, as if part of his spirit had left with his brother, culminating in his own death shortly after, making the bond between them one of the most profound narratives in art history, a testament to love, support, and the enduring impact of art on the human soul. The legacy of Vincent van Gogh did not end with his life's final brushstroke. It was Jo van Gogh Bonger, Theo's widow, who became the guardian of this legacy. With fierce dedication, she preserved Vincent's works, translated and published their letters, and tirelessly promoted his art. Through her efforts, Vincent's paintings found their way into galleries, museums, and the hearts of millions, transforming from the possessions of a misunderstood artist into global treasures of human expression. Vincent's art, with its vibrant colors and passionate strokes, speaks to us across time. Starry Night, Sunflowers, Cafe Terrace at Night, and countless others are not just paintings but windows into the soul of a man who saw the world in ways we are still trying to understand. His work invites us to see beyond the surface, to find beauty in the ordinary, and to recognize the light within our own darkness. Maybe Don McLean said it best: "I could have told you, Vincent, this world was never meant for one as beautiful as you."